amazing day. Welcome back again to another episode of Mohamed Talks with entrepreneurs, millionaires, billionaires, public speakers, motivational speakers, and more. Today we have Miss Zavanna Dova. We're going to learn about how the Zavanna Dova came up today and how you can find your inner self. That was a cough of enthusiasm. Hope you're having an amazing day. So please introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Mohamed. I am honored to be here. I'm excited to be a part of your podcast and to be able to continue to impact more lives, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here to do, right? Is to truly make a difference. So yes, my name is Zavanna Dova, and I am a TEDx speaker. I like to say a heart-centered speaker. That's a name and a title that I came up with myself. And the reason why I like to say that is because I always speak from the heart. I always speak to whatever is, God or the universe or whatever anybody believes in. I speak the truth from whatever is downloaded into me, and whatever I feel weighing on my heart, that the message is for somebody that is listening or somebody that is watching. So that's just a little bit about me. I have a background in the modeling and the acting industry. I did that for a very, very long time. And my life was rerouted, and I had to start an entire career and an entire life basically from scratch when I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. And I had to kind of figure things out on my own. So that's what I have the opportunity and the ability to do now, is to be able to change the lives of others and to pave the way for other people, and to show them that regardless of the circumstances, each and every single one of us is capable of doing incredible things. And we just have to make sure that we continue to push forward and we continue to fight the fight so that we can accomplish all of those things in life.
Boom. What else can you expect? So yeah, an important topic today is how you can find your inner self. So in my idea, the way I found the Mohamed Talks was so rational. It was just an amazing idea that popped up, because in this life we think that, I'm going to get to a certain point where everything's perfect. But no, you've got to walk through life, and nothing will ever be perfect because we're all perfectly imperfect. So it's just an amazing way where you've just got to find who is that inside person. What do they want to do? What are their passions? And, who is that Mohamed Talks or Zavanna Dova? Who is that you? So how did you find your inner self?
Well, I found my inner self through a lot of hardship and a lot of obstacles and a lot of roadblocks. But I think that that's the best way that we find our inner selves, right? And I love what you said, because it's so true. I was that exact person, right? I had those expectations where I'm like, my life is going to go X, Y, and Z, and I know exactly what the end goal is going to be, and this is how it's going to end up, and I'm going to be here, and I'm going to do this. And guess what? Life happened to me, and overnight, literally overnight, my entire life changed and my entire life shifted. But that's how I think that we find our inner self, is when we're able to look ourselves in the mirror, and when we're able to say, I may have had to overcome these obstacles. I may have had to face these fears. I may have had to go through all of these hardships, but all of these things have molded me into this strong individual that I never even thought was possible. You find your inner self when you realize that you are in full control of your life. When you realize that, yes, there are going to be bad things that happen. Yes, those expectations that you had might get cut short and things might shift around a little bit. But as long as you are able to wake up every single day and you are able to understand and able to know that you have a purpose, the fact that you get to wake up, that you get to take a breath of fresh air, is a reason for you to continue to push forward. You find your inner self when you are true to yourself, when you stop comparing yourself to the people around you and on social media. I was a victim of this. I went on social media and I'm scrolling and I'm comparing myself to this person, and why didn't my life get here by this point, and why is it taking me longer than this one? And I was that exact person. I fell victim to that. But you are able to find your inner self when you are happy with who you are, when you are happy with the things that you have and the things that you don't have. That doesn't mean that it's going to be forever. It doesn't mean you'll never see those things or you'll never have those things. It just means that you have to work with what you have right now. Your inner self will always continue to guide you. It will always continue to pave the way for you. And you have to be willing to see the vision and the path that is there, that is made for you on a day-to-day basis through the good and through the bad. Your inner self is always going to be the person that shows up day in and day out for something that maybe only you believe in. And you have to be willing to do that. So to me, that's what finding your inner self is about. And for me, it wasn't an easy journey. I found my inner self through, being at my rock bottom and not wanting to have dreams anymore and not wanting to have goals anymore, because I defined myself as this chronic illness. When I was diagnosed, I defined myself as this person that had no plan B and no backup plans and no other options, and this person that I just dug myself into a pity party and into my rock bottom, and I wanted to stay there. But what defined me and what allowed me to step into my true inner self is that I realized that every single day, even though I was asking, please do not wake me up tomorrow if I'm going to be in this pain. Please do not allow me to do anything if I'm going to continue to be just this chronic illness day to day. And I stepped into my inner self when I pulled myself out of that. And I said, I am continuing to wake up because there is more to be done. There is more purpose. There is more life to be lived. And I stopped comparing myself to other people. I stopped comparing my timelines to the world's timelines. And I became me. I became my true self.
Another explosion. Because most of the time when you're trying to find who you are, you try and spot the flaws instead of spotting the things that are actually great about you. I actually did that as well, and I have done that once or twice. I'm like, how come this guy makes 2.4 million a year and I don't? And it's just like that self-doubt tries to crawl in, and it tries to tell you, you know what, you should stop. If you're not getting any results, you should stop. But here's a quote that I really admire from Usain Bolt. It's like, he's trained 9 years to run 9 seconds. And then when people train 4 months just to get a great job and start a new future, they give up. Because a lot about life is about dedication and commitment. If you're not committed to finding who you are, you'll never know who you are, even if you're living as who you are. So yeah, those are a lot of who you are. So another part about finding your inner self is actually looking into the past and finding the things that molded you. So finding your motives, for instance. For me, a big motivation for me to become a motivational speaker like I am today was that everyone that I followed, every leader that I loved, Steve Harvey, Grant Cardone, people like Gary Vee, and now people like Diamond Diva, Miss Zavanna, Dova, and these people, they all push me to want to become better, because you've got to see everyone as if you were on the playing field, and everyone's got different types of levels. All you want to do with the right amount of money and the right amount of knowledge, you can see the right picture. So what were your motives and what made you go into motivation?
Yeah, and really quickly before I answer that, I just want to add to what you said too, because I think that it's so important, Mohammed. And that's the other thing, right? Is that we always want that overnight success, or like you said, he had trained all those years for just a couple of seconds. But that's what we don't see, is we see those couple of seconds of success, but we don't see those years of struggle and of fight. And I think that that's a huge, huge part of it. That is key, because every single one of us has a fight to fight. We all have something that we have to show up for on a day-to-day basis. And when we compare ourselves to other people, we're only comparing ourselves to, number one, the thing that they want you to see, right? The thing that people are putting out there because they want you to see it. And number two, we're forgetting that every single person has a time frame. For some people, it might happen in a week. For other people, it might take 30 years, maybe even 40 years. But that's the whole point of life, is that you have to be willing to show up for something that maybe only you believe in. And you have to be willing to show up for that day in and day out, regardless of how long it takes. At the end of the day, that because you have that strong of a belief that you're going to make an impact and that you're going to do something incredible, that it's going to come. It just might not be tomorrow. And I think that that's really important.
That is so, so true. I mean, yeah, we only see what is portrayed. And that's another part about finding who you are, is that when you find out who you actually are, you know that your flaws have made your perfections, and that your practice has made you better, and your failures have given you knowledge. So all the broken plates, all the broken nights, all the sleepless days, those all created the success that you're going to have. And another thing about time frames is that most people don't know that it's never the right time. You can't wait for the right time to do something. The right moment doesn't exist. You make it. So you need to do the right thing to get to where you need to be. And there was a video that I posted on my reel. Go to my Instagram and check out Miss Zavanna Dova. All of her links in the description below, about a kid who went to school with a donkey, right? And it's just like, use what you have to get what you need. And that's the best representation. It's like a comedy and it's truth. So most people think that, you know what, I don't have this, I don't have that. Even I sometimes say this, like, I don't have these, I don't have this. You see the amount of success people have gotten to with just electricity, like the light bulb, is impeccable. And that's what should be remarked, is the things that they've done with nothing to create everything. So how do you think a person should define themselves? Should they be inspired by other people, or what do you think is the best way to keep themselves working on themselves? For me, it's to dedicate yourself to you and to the people around you, because it always has to be bigger than you. So if your dream doesn't scare you, that means it's not big enough. If it's all about you and I want to be a millionaire and I want to be a billionaire and I want to do this and do this, if all of it goes back to you, it's not going to happen. Because when you're doing something to help someone, not necessarily for them, but with them to help them, that's going to be a lot easier because you're not working on yourself. And most of the time, let me give you guys an example. When you're not working for yourself and you're doing something for someone else, if you're an actual, genuinely hardworking person, you'll actually do double the work. Here's an instance. When you go to the doctor, right, and some people are suspicious about the pills that the doctor's giving, et cetera, et cetera. But when they take their pet to the vet, they give him every single medicine, every single care. It's as if you're treating your pet more, loyalty, with more loyalty to them, towards them, than towards yourself. So you need to prioritize self-love and self-focus. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that, Mohammed. And so I know one of the questions that you had asked was how did I, become who I am today, and what kind of was that driving force for me? And I would say for me there was a couple of things, and it's also going to go into the next question around, how I think people can continue to push forward. And for me, I would say that the biggest driving force was after I was diagnosed. I had worked my entire life for this career and this life, right? These expectations that I had. And when my entire life was flipped upside down overnight and I had nothing at all, I had to figure it all out myself. And like I said, there was days and there was moments where I didn't want to continue to fight. I didn't want to continue to push forward and to move forward.
It was
And I
just
realized and yeah, and I realized that I was there for a purpose. I was waking up for a purpose. And around the time, Clubhouse had just come out, and I started to speak. And I'm a huge believer that everything happens for a reason. I don't believe that anything is by coincidence. And one of the things that had happened to me, and this is just a great example for everyone that's listening and everybody that's watching right now. This is a great example of when you are keeping your eyes open and you are open to any and all possibilities. There will always be signs and there will always be guidance for you. You just have to be willing to see it, and you have to be willing to take it. So for me, Clubhouse had just started, and there was a room about sharing your story. And the feeling when you first get on there. I mean, I was sweating, I was terrified. I'm like, I'm going to go in this room, and I'm listening in, right? I'm
I
listening in.
barely know you guys.
And it's terrifying, right? It's so scary in that moment. And I went into this room and I was listening, and it was titled something about sharing your story. So I went in and I listened to everybody, and I was so inspired. I said to myself, I said, wow, like these people are sharing their story, like their real life stories, and they're inspiring other people. Like I feel inspired, right? Like I haven't gone through what they've gone through, but I feel inspired just by what they're speaking about, and the strength and the courage that they have within them to be able to even be on a stage and share about this right now. And so, I finally built up the courage and I said, all right, I'm going to raise my hand. And I'm sweating. I'm terrified. I finally raised my hand, and they turned off the hand raising. I was the only person that they didn't invite up. Okay. And I had my information. I had, a couple of followers where I didn't look like I was, just trying to get up on stage and whatever.
Honestly, that should just be a meme when you're trying to raise your hand and the hand raising just gets cut off.
Oh my gosh, it was just picture it, right? Just imagine
That
the
happened to
feeling,
me more
my
than
whole
once as a
body.
baby.
It was terrifying.
Motivation's from 100 to 0 real quickly.
That's it, really quickly, right? And that in that moment, though, I knew that that was a pivotal moment for me, because in that moment, I felt so defeated, and I felt, how does somebody have that much power over somebody else to say, you're important, but you're not? Your story matters, but yours doesn't. So in that moment, I had two options. Option one, I could have just said, I'm out of here. I'm not going to do this anymore. And that's it. Okay, perfect. So, yeah. So, in that moment, I felt so defeated, and I felt like, how does somebody have that much power to say that your story isn't important, but yours is? You matter, but you don't. And I had two options in that moment. Option one would have been to walk away and say, I am never doing this again. Why did I even bother? And that's it. Or option two for me was exactly what I did in that moment. I made a promise to myself in that moment, and I said, if I'm given the opportunity and I have the ability to create a space or a community or a room or anything where people are able to come together and they are able to share their stories, and they never have that feeling that I felt in that moment, that they didn't matter or their stories or their voice wasn't being heard. And I did exactly that. I created a community, the Sisterhood of Influential Entrepreneurs, of over 20,000 members. 20,000 members. And we all literally, I was running rooms every single Friday and Saturday, 19 to 20 hours by myself, moderating and speaking the entire time by myself every single weekend. I did not skip a beat. And it's because I knew how much that mattered. And that was the pivotal moment for me, as I realized that, again, God was giving me an option. I could have went down into rock bottom. I could have thrown myself a pity party and said, I can't believe this happened to me. Or I could have made a decision. And that decision that I made in that moment of time changed the entire course of my life. It saved me. It saved my life. That community, the Sisterhood of Influential Entrepreneurs, saved my life, because we all had a safe space to come together and to connect and to speak with one another. And that gave me the ability and the opportunity to have enough confidence in myself to be one of those people, to share my story and to inspire others and to pave the way and to make an impact. So that's what molded me into who I am today as a speaker, is that I realized that we all have problems. We all have things that we have to overcome, obstacles that we have to overcome, but we can all do it together. And when we have people around us that truly and genuinely want to see us succeed and want to support us and want to see good things happen for us and to us, that's what life is all about, is when we're able to come together. That's what gives me life every single day, is that I know if I can even change one person's life, something that I wish I had had in my corner, somebody rooting for me, telling me I could have done all those things and that they were proud, or that they knew that I could accomplish these things. If I'm able to do that even for one person, then that not only changes their life, but it changes mine.
Mind blown. And once again, of course, this is the third time you've blown everyone's minds. So yeah, that has been around, I believe, 24 minutes of a podcast with the Zavanna Dova, talking about how you can find your inner self and what made us who we are today. If you guys have enjoyed this episode, be sure to click the links in the description. If you're over on Spotify, go to the YouTube channel so you can find Miss Zavanna Dova's social media and everywhere. And be sure to get on Clubhouse, because you never want to miss when the motivational star speaks on Clubhouse. So yeah, hope you're having an amazing day. Any last words?
Yes, thank you so much, Mohamed. And my last words really would just be to that last question that you asked, Mohamed, around how people can continue to move forward with their lives and to have that confidence. And I think that the biggest thing that I want to leave everybody with is be yourself. You know within you what you have to do, right? Like, that there's something greater for you and that there's a bigger purpose for you. And if you continue to show up exactly as yourself, you continue to overcome those obstacles and you turn those obstacles into opportunities, there will be endless things in your life. You will literally accomplish things beyond your wildest dreams. But you have to know that each and every single one of us is unique to our own selves. We are meant for incredible things. We all have a purpose. We are all worthy. And you have to dive deep within yourself and truly find that inner self and do whatever it takes to accomplish those dreams. Turn the impossible into possible, because we are all capable of doing that.
Boom. One of my favorite quotes is, you see, impossible, if you just put a comma in a space, it just says, I am possible. So yeah, hope you're having an amazing day, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you very much, Miss Zavanna Dova, for joining me today. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.